are you and where you're from?
My name is Chris Miller. So I'm part of Dalunarrung from Victoria here. It's pretty cool.
Where are you from?
I'm Chris Miller. I'm from the Dalunarrung mob here in Victoria.
Something interesting about the cultural group is that language, even though they're part of the Kulin nation, that's just their language. No one else really speaks it.
What else do you like about yourself?
What do I like about myself? I like my hardworking attitude. When I want to get something done, I get it done. And I like my my acceptance of other people, I guess.
And one thing I love about being Aboriginal is that I get to learn a lot more about it, because you don't really learn much in schools.
What are good qualities of a good leader?
Qualities of a good leader is, respect, courage, and honesty.
What's your favourite colour?
Favorite color is probably blue.
Yeah, why?
Well, it's partly not only because I'm in blue house, but more so because I like, just the coolness of blue. Like it provides like a cool, it's pretty neutral.
Blue?
Yeah, why?
Well, I've always been a fan of blue. It's kind of like cool as in like it's a cold color, and it just has like an inviting feel to it.
What's some of your hobbies?
My hobbies, I definitely like looking back in the past, to previous historical events and stuff like that. I don't mind playing games, obviously, like most people.
I like games, TV and movies, as well as smart.
What's your favourite TV show?
Favorite TV show? I've really liked in the past Star Trek.
Which series?
Well, I mean, I do like the older series, but I think out of just sheer production quality, I like the Star Trek Discovery, because it's just so much more, more production quality gone into it. More money, more technology, that kind of stuff.
What attracts you to a particular show like Star Trek?
What attracts me is I like the a lot of Star Trek shows include past events. Not just that, but it provides an alternate reality kind of thing, and that's something I'm quite interested in, to be honest.
Usually it's TV shows that aren't really for my age. So Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, those kind of shows.
If you could be an animal or a totem, what would you be and why?
I would be a sloth, because they lounge around quite a lot, and that's kind of just defines me. Probably a sloth, because they're just not busy and not rushed.
If you wrote your life story, what would you call it and why?
Probably Inside, because it is a biography about autobiography. Yeah, anyway, about my life.
What do you plan to do after year 12?
Well, I've been looking at doing secondary teaching, but yeah, that's what currently. It might change.
Yeah. Any particular subjects?
Not really. Probably, if I had to choose, humanities.
Okay. What do you like about humanities?
I just like, for example, history. I like looking back in history, and geo. I like just looking at things around the world.
Life.
I love to become a teacher, because I love to teach my knowledge. I like to share it.
So if you had a superpower, what superpower would you have and how would you use it?
I would have probably the superpower of flight, because if I could fly around the world, I could probably help a lot of people, such as people in, disaster-affected areas. Like if there's a flood or something, I can help deliver supplies, help rescue people, that kind of stuff. Probably intelligence, because people with super intelligence always help the world in many different ways.
How do you define an Aboriginal role model?
I define an Aboriginal role model as someone who'll step up in life, or in the community, when it's needed. They will become a role model for the kids. They'll just be able to help.
Who's your favourite football team?
North Melbourne.
Yep, why?
My brother always supported them, and he's probably my biggest role model growing up.
What made him a role model?
Just the closeness me and him shared. We shared a room for many years. We have a lot of interests that are relatively similar. And yeah.
How do you define manhood?
Well, I define manhood as someone who will step up in times of need. They'll be a good role model, be just there, prevalent in life.
And one stereotype is that Aboriginal people are similar, but they're really not. They're very different. People from Victoria know nothing about people from Queensland, for example.
So what's one impact in Indigenous affairs that you'd like to tackle?
I'd like to, be able to teach, younger people that it's about the Aboriginal stereotypes, trying to break them, trying to make sure that, the younger generation know that if you're white, you can be Aboriginal. If you're dark, you can be Aboriginal. It doesn't really matter.
What's one Indigenous issue that you're really passionate about?
Very passionate about, trying to get rid of, the preconceived stereotypes of, Aboriginal people. For example, skin colour, because, I'm pretty white myself, but, if someone looked at me, they wouldn't really see Aboriginal man, but, I am. So, yeah.
What's one thing in life that you're proud of achieving?
Well, I'm very proud of my academic achievements. I've been able to come top 1-2% in Australia a few times, and that's really felt something deep inside me, achievement.
I'm very proud of achieving getting a rank in Army Cadets. It's one thing I'm very proud of.
What's something that you're not really proud of doing in your life?
One thing I'm not really proud of is I've done something that may have hurt someone else in the past, and I don't really like that.
Yeah. How do you feel about it?
I just feel regret. It just crosses my mind every now and again, and I just feel, well, I shouldn't have done that. And back in hindsight, probably wouldn't have done it, but it wasn't me back then.
Can you change it?
Can't really change the past, but you can change the future, and that's what I believe in.
How do you define racism?
Racism, saying something that you might not think, will hurt somebody, but very, very much so could and will oftentimes.
What makes a person racist?
What makes a person racism is it would have to be misinformation and, just like, what's it called? Ignorance.
What would you do if you saw racism actually occurring at your school?
I would step in and ask both parties to please just depart ways and just try and stop it where it is and report it.
What issues do you think Aboriginal kids in 2020 face?
I think one of the biggest issues is, potentially not finishing school.
If that happens, what's the outcome of that?
Well, oftentimes it's either being unemployed or, homelessness, that kind of stuff.
What aspects of culture have been lost in your family?
I don't really know any Indigenous words, really. Don't really know much about my history, that kind of stuff.
What aspects of culture does your family still practice or celebrate?
We definitely, try and, attend NAIDOC and, that kind of stuff. We like to get involved with the community and stuff like that.
What makes an Aboriginal community?
What makes an Aboriginal community is just the sense of, kind of being there for each other. Makes sense. Like support.
What stereotypes exist of Aboriginal people?
Well, there's definitely a stereotype that, they're all unemployed. Everyone's unemployed. Everyone's, either drunk or addicted to something.
If you had kids, what aspects of culture would you want them to actually?
I would probably most want them to understand who they are, understand, their history more.
How would you encourage that to occur?
I would, encourage them to attend, NAIDOC Week, or other Indigenous events and things like that.
Why do you think that Aboriginal culture isn't taught very well at school?
I think a lot of people tend to focus on, settlement, because a lot of things before settlement are not well documented in Australia, obviously, because there was no real written system or anything like that.
Yeah. So is that then the teachers not knowing how to present the history, or they just don't know?
It's more so, I reckon, the teachers just not ever really reading about it or learning about it when they're being taught.
What would you want non-Indigenous people to know about being Aboriginal?
Just the, definitely the hardships that go on around Australia to do with Aboriginal people, and, the lack of opportunity for a lot of people.
Do you actually have an Aboriginal hero?
I do. I think Adam Goodes, standing up for what he believes in, really, spoke out to me.
Explain to people what Adam Goodes did.
Well, Adam Goodes, experienced a lot of, racist comments from the crowds a few years back. And, he came out, spoke against it, that kind of stuff. And, even when people were, public opinion turned on him, because the people he was calling out were not, anyway, yeah, he stood up for what he believed in, and yeah.
Do you find it hard for Aboriginal people to often stand up?
I think that a lot of issues are just, ingrained, for many years that have been around. So when people try and stand up against them, they're often not, supported.
What do you think might need to change in Indigenous issues if you're given the opportunity?
One way to change issues is to educate, and education is probably the best way to get this information out there.
How would you incorporate Indigenous issues into classes that you might teach in the future?
Well, I might, a lot of, in the past, a lot of people also were, white Australia were also very uneducated as well. In the past, a lot of people didn't finish year 12. And I just want to, if I was teaching about that, I would include how that statistic continues on to Aboriginal people nowadays, still.
Yeah. If I gave you the opportunity to stand in front of the whole school and I said, Chris, you've got 5 minutes to give the school a message about Indigenous people, what would you want them to know?
I'd want them to know how many people out there are affected by, lack of health, lack of education, the amount of people that, don't have access to hot running water, that kind of stuff. It's basically poverty in a first world country.
How do you think we can change that?
Well, we can change that by providing more definitely jobs and education to remote communities, allowing people in these remote communities to become more than just either a labourer or a part of the mining industry, when they have job security.
Do you have a motto that you live by?
Well, I always try and, I always try and participate in as many things as possible, and it doesn't matter if I don't like them, I may as well just try them out first. What's
one thing that people don't know about Chris that you don't often share about yourself?
I actually don't have the best vision in both my eyes. I can't see very well out of my left eye. Not everyone knows everything that about me.
Do you think that people understand you?
Sometimes people do not understand me. It's partly to do with the way I speak. Sometimes the way I speak, people don't understand what I'm trying to say. But that's a literal example. But more on another level, the things I like to, I like, not everyone else really, likes it.
Why do you think Camberwell Grammar is a great place for Indigenous students?
They've always acknowledged Indigenous culture. Like they have the Indigenous flag and a lot of paintings around the school, which is cool.
Last 2 years you've been doing a mentoring program with AJ. What do you think about the program, and what have you learned?
The program is really good. Prior to this, we had a on and off kind of visits from Indigenous people that we talked to. They were on and off, and they weren't very stable. But since he's come, he's done a lot of really regular sessions, which has been awesome.
How do you see Aboriginal affairs in the future?
More education about Indigenous culture in schools. I see more Indigenous not benefits, but programs that help Indigenous people out there get higher educations, get healthcare to the remote communities, kind of stuff.
If you got a really strong message you want people to know?
Well, Indigenous Australians, we've been here since the start of Australia, pretty much. Most people in Australia nowadays are from an immigrant background, whether it be Greek or Italian immigrants after World War II, English immigrants, but Indigenous people have been here. We're native people here, and not looking after Indigenous people that are going through hard times or have had hardships in their life prior, such as family members dying early from either drug or alcohol abuse or anything like that, doesn't reflect on everyone in the Aboriginal community and that kind of stuff. It kind of just reflects on the neglect that Indigenous communities and Indigenous people face from governments in Australia and stuff like that.
I want to formally thank you, because I'll do this on the video as well, but Chris, I want to thank you for participating in the interviews in the last 2 years. It's been a privilege and an honour to work with you, and I've enjoyed your contribution so much to the projects. Thanks, that's what I want to say.
Velocity throw. That's it. Too deadly. Another go. Go, go, go.